Here's what I want you to do. As soon as this video is over, I want you to take out a piece of paper and a pencil, maybe write this on Notepad on your computer, whatever. But I want you to write out a description of you. Who are you? Real simple, right? Because the reason we're doing this is because the best defense, I believe, against gaslighting is to have a strong sense of self-identity. So why are we doing this? Well, years ago, there was back in the 1940s, 1950s, there was a psychologist who did a study of brainwashing. These were individuals who were brainwashed in China, North Korea, and he interviewed some of them after they were released. And he studied the techniques that the communists used to brainwash individuals. And what he found was this: those individuals with a strong sense of identity were the most difficult to brainwash. There were some people, for example, who were Catholic missionaries, and they were nearly impossible to convince that they were wrong. Why? Because they had a very strong, very embedded sense of self. They knew who they were. They knew what they believed. So here's the exercise for you once this video is over. You just write down who you are. You can be as inclusive as you care to be, but I suggest you write down, I don't know, something simple like your name, because that's important. You know, when people join dangerous religious cults, or secular cults for that matter, the first thing they do is change their name. You know, or one of the early things they do is get them to change their identity. They call them something else. Some of that, okay, it's perfectly okay. If you belong to a church, you call each other brother and sister. That's a little bit of identity, but that's okay. But when it comes to thought reform, sometimes they change names. So when you're making your list of who you are, your sense of identity, put down your name, put down your mental health status. Are you crazy? I don't think so. Put down that, maybe a little bit. But how about your health? How's your health doing? If you're in good health, put down, hey, I'm in good health. If you're not, put down, I'm not in good health. Hey, just being honest here. What does that have to do with anything? Well, again, we are constructing a sense of identity. What about your gender? What about your race? What about your political beliefs? What about your sociological beliefs? What about your religious beliefs? You don't have to write a long letter. You know, we're not talking about writing a book here. I'm talking about maybe 100 words. But the objective is to define your identity so you can impress upon your gray matter, your brain, that sense of identity of who you are. And then when you confront gaslighters, and their whole objective is to question your identity, to question your reality. That, by the way, is number one. What is it? What are those hidden signs of gaslighting? And when somebody is questioning your sense of reality, a diminished sense of self-perception, that is a form of gaslighting, and the person may not even intentionally be trying to gaslight you. Fact of the matter is, a lot of people who do gaslighting, they don't even know what gaslighting is. But anytime some individual tries to diminish your self-perception, make you believe that you are less than who you really are, that is gaslighting. Now, I don't necessarily think it's good for us to exaggerate who we are. That's kind of like narcissism, right? What we want to do is just be realist. That's it, just be realist. All right, let's say, for example, that you are watching solar eclipse. Solar eclipse is when the moon comes in between you and the sun. And it's perfectly aligned. And you can't see the sun any longer. You can see the, what do they call it, the corona or whatever. But you can't see the sun because you and the sun and the moon are perfectly in alignment. Well, that's what we want to do with your perception of yourself. Get it perfectly in alignment. So we want to be just real, okay? We want to know who we really are, not something better than we are, not something worse than we are. It's okay to be a positive thinker as long as it positively is aligned properly, as long as it's real. But when somebody questions your reality and it diminishes it, makes it less than what it really is, that's gaslighting. Number two is question your value. Now, you may have been at work or maybe in a family meeting, gathering, maybe at church, maybe at a social club, maybe at school, I don't know, wherever you happen to be around people. And you got this idea. You know, maybe you're on the board or something, or maybe just a bunch of people sitting around chatting You may be on a board of directors, PTA, whatever, and you have this great idea, and you speak your idea, you voice your idea, and there's somebody who inevitably who says, that's a dumb idea. I mean, the time lapse between you telling your idea, you sharing your idea, and somebody saying that it's a bad idea is like 0 seconds. I mean, it's the shortest time that measurable. They haven't had time to think about it. They're just reacting. Now, typically what will happen is they won't only say it's a bad idea, but a lot of times they'll have a better idea, which is usually worse, but who knows? Maybe it is better. Why do people do that? Because they are questioning your value. So number one, they question your realities. Secondly, they want to question your value, that your idea is not valuable. Well, what they really mean is you are not valuable. What's wrong with your idea? Well, maybe a bad idea, maybe a good idea. That's not the point. They are not trying to devalue your idea, your suggestion, your input. They're trying to devalue you. You know what that is? That's gaslighting. Number 3 is question your memory. I like this one because, I'm getting old. I'll be 70 years old in a few months, and as I get older, guess what's going? Starting to lose my memory. It's not a severe thing, but it's just an age-related thing. You get to be in your 70s, you start to forget things. And I'm not having a real serious problem with it, but a gaslighter could come along. And this is how they work, by the way. But a gaslighter could come along and they could say, Ken, you want to come over and watch football? Now, maybe this is a friend, maybe it's a relative, maybe it's a neighbor. But if you know me, you're not going to invite me over to watch football because I can't think of anything in the world I'd rather do. I'd rather sit and watch a wall, watch paint dry than watch football. But we're just using this for an illustration. So the guy invites me over to his house to watch football. Big giant screen TV, free popcorn, free Diet Pepsi. I don't drink beer, by the way. I never have, never. This got nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I'm nearly 70 years old, and I've never tasted an alcoholic beverage, never. And I plan to go to my grave or wherever I go. Once you're dead, it's really not my decision. But I plan to go to my death never having tasted alcohol. No beer, no wine, no nothing. But anyhow, this is all imaginary. So the guy invites me to his house. He says, let's sit down here and watch this football game. And so-and-so is playing so-and-so. And here's your popcorn, here's your Diet Pepsi, and we're watching the game, whatever. And he says something, I don't know, because we're just making the story up, but he says something about something that I said earlier. I don't remember saying that. You say, well, yeah, you said it, but no big deal. Okay, whatever. But we find that this pattern goes on and on. He invites me over another time for another football game, or maybe we just see him out and about when we're taking a walk or something. And same thing. You remember when you said, but he's talking about something else now. Do you remember when you said, or when you did, you remember how you, and I say, no, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember doing that. I don't remember how I did something. I don't remember any of that. And the guy looks at me and says, oh, you're losing your memory. You may not say it out loud, but you can tell from the facial expression, you're losing your memory. Why is he doing that? Well, what happens is this is a scam that is pulled often. And what happens is if you are a very lonely person, and it happens a lot with older people, but not necessarily. Sometimes very young, vulnerable people, like, like preteens or early teenage girls, for example. Somebody will they groom them. And this is a technique sometimes they use that, you need some help because you're losing your memory. And this is my good buddy, my good friend. He gives me free popcorn. I can trust him, right? And the next thing you know, over a period, it could be a period of probably years, but it could be as short as a few months, this guy has totally won my confidence. And to make sure that all is well and all is okay, because in this pretend scenario, I have no family to lean back on, have nobody that I can call up and check out, and if I did, probably wouldn't do it. And he knows that, so next thing you know, he's in control of my finances. Guess what? My retirement is now his retirement. Or at least that's the way he sees it. In other words, one of the ways somebody will gaslight you is to question your memory. Now, I doubt that you're old, and I doubt you would fall for this ploy, but still, you may have people not that extreme, but you've probably had these experiences. I guarantee you, you've had these experiences in the past when somebody will say, you said, but you didn't say. I mean, I've had those experiences where somebody just swore up and down that I said something that I know that I didn't say, and they may actually think that I said it because your memory is not a video camera. It's not audio recording, and sometimes we do have false memories, and sometimes it's not us that has the false memory; it's the other person. But then again, sometimes people do this intentionally, willfully. So it could be something as small as a business transaction, some small business transaction. Yeah, you said you'd give me $3,000 for that car. I said, no, I said $2,000. No, I'm pretty sure you said $3,000. Maybe you've had an experience, not that experience, but something like it, where somebody brought into question your memory so they could take advantage of you. Number 4, question your intentions and your motives. That is gaslighting. When somebody questions your intentions by saying or implying that you have ulterior or self-serving motives, that is a form of gaslighting. Why would you do that? Now, let's say, for example, that you're just being nice to somebody. And I hope you do. I hope you're nice a lot of times. But I hope you're nice all the time when people deserve someone to be nice to. But let's say that you're nice to somebody, maybe a coworker, and you're just being friendly, and somebody will question your motives. Because, hey, the fact that the guy's your boss doesn't matter. You still have a sense of decency about them. But you may have a coworker that says, well, you're just being nice to that guy because what is the word? You're a psychophant.
Sycophant.
You're brown-nosing is the term that most people use. You're just playing up to this guy because you want to be in the good graces of the boss because you want a promotion, or worse yet, you're flirting with the boss so you can get a promotion. Well, who knows? Maybe you are doing that, but we're thinking about those occasions where you're just being nice to people. And it's not necessarily your boss. It could be you're just being nice to your coworkers, just trying to get along with everybody, and somebody else sees that, and they think you're social climbing. They think you are posturing, because people do that, I mean, it's very common for people to posture. But no, you're just being nice. You're just being friendly. You're just trying to be easy to get along with, but somebody comes along and they question your intentions. They question your motives. Number 5 is, I hate this one, but they question your character. They do this all the time. They will not only portray, and that, when I said question your motives, that's gaslighting, right? Question your character, that is another gaslighting. So they will portray you as being dishonest or being sneaky. Some people are dishonest. Some people are sneaky, and some people aren't. Some people are sneaky some of the time. Some people are dishonest some of the time, not all the time. But this time, you're not being sneaky. You're not being dishonest. You're just being you. And somebody will come along and they'll say, yeah, you got to watch out for this guy. He's a crook. You got to watch out. You know what that is? It's gaslighting. I recall years ago when I was a pastor, like the first week I took the church, and I pastored this church, I think, for 12 years. But the first week, there was this very well-placed, well-heeled businessman, very respectable guy. I respected him. He was a deacon in the church. And he came up to me and, wink, wink, nod, nod. He said, you got to watch out for her. And then he mentioned some other guy's name. I don't know why, but that always stuck with me. I mean, always stuck with me. The other guy, I can't even remember his name now, but, he was, at the time, he was an older man. He was like, his 50s. Of course, now he'd be a younger man to me. But so the whole time I was at the church, I mean, for a period of years, I questioned that guy's character. And I didn't. It was subconscious. I didn't intend to, but it was based upon this other credible person's 1 or 2 sentences that said, you got to watch out for this guy. Watch your back around this guy. I never saw anything wrong with him. But still, the fact of the matter is, he got gaslighted by this other guy, and maybe they just had words at one time or had some kind of a disagreement. So the point is that when someone questions your character, it may be momentarily, but it's still a form of gaslighting. It's making you or someone else question and diminish your sense of reality of who you really are. And it turns out, this other guy, again, never had a problem with him. He's a really nice guy. Chances are someone's doing that to you or has done that to you. Got to watch out for this guy. I know throughout my life, people have done that. They would say something about me to somebody else, and it could be, nobody likes him. You got to watch out for this guy. And maybe not those words exactly, but I've had those experiences, and I think you have too, and that's a subtle way of gaslighting. Number 6 is question your feelings. Well, maybe you are a loving person. I certainly hope you are. Maybe you are a person of great affection. I certainly hope you are. And sometimes people will question your love and affection, particularly, this could happen around family members, where you have love and affection for your mom and dad. If you're an adult, maybe you still have affection for your mom and dad. I say still, you always should have. But then somebody will question your affection. You don't really love them. You just want your inheritance or whatever. Do people actually say things like that? Yeah, they actually do. Why? Because, I don't want to say because they're jerks, but the real reason is it's because they're jerks. Usually. I mean, there could be exceptions. I don't know, but they're gaslighters, psychopaths, or psychopathic, I should say. They are narcissistic. They feel put down, so they're going to put you down. But the truth of the matter is you really do love your mom and dad. What's wrong with that? Well, nothing. But the fact of the matter is there are gaslighters out there, and they're ready and willing to diminish you in the eyes of others and in the eyes of yourself. And that, by the way, is the whole of gaslighting. To diminish you in the eyes of yourself and in the eyes of others. You saw the movie, right? Gaslighting, or maybe... No, you didn't see the play because it hasn't been around for decades. But, you could watch the movie. I think it's on YouTube. And the movie is this guy marries a woman for her money. And he wants to have her committed to an insane asylum or somewhere. So he's got to convince her and everybody else that she is mentally ill. That's the whole of the story. And he does this thing by dimming the gas lights. And when she says the gas lights are dimming, and then they go back up, he says, no, you're going crazy. Well, there's more to the story than that, but that is the essence of the story. But the reason I said that is because gaslighters want to diminish you in your own mind, but they also want to diminish you in the minds of others. Why? Because when they have you committed, or whatever they do to you, they want others to think you're justified in doing it. So they want everyone to think you're nuts. Number 7. Question your competence. I will absolutely, positively guarantee you that if you have worked on a job with coworkers for more than, an hour, somebody has questioned your competence. You're not doing that right. What they're implying is, I can do it better. It doesn't matter what you're doing or how you're doing it. In fact, I think everybody does this because it makes us feel a little superior by saying, hey, you're doing that wrong. Years ago, I came out of my office when I had a proper office downtown. I was coming out of my office. They were doing some construction work next door, and there was this teenage kid on the construction crew, and he was shoveling refuse into a trash, what do they call those, trash containers, one of those big, huge, monster trash containers. And one of his coworkers made a snide remark. He said, the objective is to get it into the trash container, or what if you could, the dumpster, that's what I was trying to think, get it into the dumpster, not on the ground. He is belittling this kid, putting him down. Why would he do that? Well, gaslighting, making him feel less of himself in his sight and in the sight of all of his coworkers. It's not a big deal, I guess, other than, people like that are just kind of annoying, but I guarantee you, if you've been on the job more than an hour, somebody has told you or implied that you're not doing it right. you need less, particularly if you're new. For some reason, there's always some guy who wants to pick on the new guy because he knows how to do it and you don't, and there's an opportunity for him to make you look stupid. Fact of the matter is, you're probably smarter than this other person is, and after you've been on the job a while, you're probably going to outperform it. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Here's an opportunity for gaslighting. Now, you take all these 7 principles and you put them together under the umbrella, and what you find is when somebody is doing all of this, or nearly all of these, typically that is a narcissist and it's part of his ploy or her ploy to undermine your thinking so they can take advantage of you. You see those 2 rectangles on the screen. If you want this conversation to continue, all you got to do is click one of those 2 rectangles. We keep on talking together, you and me. If not, well, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see y'all next time.